What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content daily. We also stream over on Twitch at This Is Aftersound, so come by and say hello. Okay, let's dive into the topic for today, and that is what are the best diesel pools or liquidity pools to be in to take advantage of the airdrop. Now, there's been a lot of renewed interest, I feel like, or at least conversation about the airdrops. I'm sorry, about liquidity pools recently. There was a video dropped by, I believe it's Matt Monarch, if I'm remembering correctly, the overnight Splinterlands whale, who was talking about liquidity pools and is trying to get everybody to sell whatever they have and dump it into liquidity pools. Now, this is a great strategy. As I've said, I think liquidity pools, I'm sorry, not liquidity pools, but DEC or holding DEC is getting you roughly 100%, 112% APR the last time that I checked on the airdrop. And so I think this is a very viable strategy. I will be very transparent with you, though, that I'm not doing this. I don't like holding DEC. I never really have. And yes, I may be missing out on some things, but this is a risk tolerance level for me. And so everybody just needs to find their own, their own risk tolerance when it comes to these types of assets. I've given out my reasons for why I don't like to hold much DEC. We're still above the peg is the main reason. But again, like I said, you have to really look at the numbers here. And what I'm going to try and do is break this down and help understand if you are planning to go into a liquidity pool, at least here on Tribal Decks, what are your best options? And really, I think that there's one that goes straight away above all of the others. So let's go ahead and you can see here, I've pulled in everything that has DEC as a liquidity partner here. And I think really there's just two that you should be looking at and considering, and probably for different reasons. Maybe you can, if you're considering holding B, but again, I don't know much about the B token. And as you can see here, total liquidity is about 69,000, which is way less than the top two. DEC SPS has 3 million, and Swap.hive and DEC has about 1.1 million. So in terms of total liquidity, it's just these two that I think are or should be really the main focus. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down to the last 7 days rather than just the max, because what I would like for you to see now, if you have, again, there's 3 benefits here, right? And I've called this out. So if you're putting DEC into these liquidity pools, there are 3 benefits that you get. One is the airdrop. So just for holding the DEC and or having it in a liquidity pool, you get the airdrop from that. Then you have these LP rewards. So there are actually rewards that are paid out, and that is separate from the third item, which is fees. Now, fees just started recently, right? So there's a 0.25% fee on every transaction on these swaps, and that gets paid out to the liquidity providers in proportion to the amount of liquidity that you have in there. So the overall shares of the liquidity pool, shall we put it. So let's go ahead and focus on DEC and SPS, and then Swap.hive and DEC. Now, by overall liquidity, DEC SPS is at the highest, right? 3.2 million. But in terms of overall volume, so there's more activity, that's happening on Swap.hive and DEC. So the thing is, what I wanted to take a look at here is because of the fact that there is more volume happening on Swap.hive and DEC and less overall liquidity, it means that the more you have in there, the more you are earning in terms of overall fees. And I'm going to calculate what the APR returns are in just a moment. So that being said, well, actually, let's go ahead and do that now, and then we can jump into the rewards afterwards, because the rewards are kind of just like a cherry on top. But okay, so I wanted to take, this has only been out for a couple of months, I think end of January, so not even a couple of months, but I really just want to get a rolling kind of 7 days to see what the overall volume has been like. So that's why I'm clicking on 7 days rather than just 1 day or 30. I think it's good to get an average. So we're going to start here with DEC SPS. There's about $906 in fees earned and paid out to liquidity providers. Now that $906 is over a 7-day period. So I'm going to divide this by 7 days, $129 per day in fees. And then I'm going to divide that by the overall liquidity here. So 3.2 million, 71612, right? So this gets you your daily APR, and then when I put your daily PR, your daily percentage rate, and if I multiply it by 365, this gets you an APR of 1.4%, roughly, right? 1.4% in terms of what you're earning from the fees here, not rewards. So we compare this now to the swap.hive and DEC, which has much more volume, and therefore the fees are technically higher, even though there's lower liquidity. So 1,537 divided by 7 days. So now you have your daily fees earned, and then you divide that by 1.1 million, 35,746. This gets you your daily percentage rate. Multiply that by 365 to get your actual APR. And here you go. That's 7% compared to the 1.4%. Now, these are going to vary, right? Because I think we should probably look or check in at a later time to see how things look overall. And actually, I'm kind of just doing this on the spot here, but you can see here the fees earned are still significantly more on the 30-day versus the 7-day. Are they in the same? They're actually somewhat similar proportion, right? So it's about this is about 60% of that. And this is about 60% of that. So again, these are all rough numbers here. At the end of the day, these all kind of pale in comparison due to the fact that no matter which one you're putting it into, you're going to get that 112% APR just for having DEC and throwing it into the liquidity pool. But which one you do can add a couple of extra percentage points on top, right? 7% versus 1.4%. Now, I also wanted to go over the LP rewards because this is something that's given out daily. And as you can see here, most of these are going to be under, $1, like Starbits level. You're earning all these rewards in other tokens. And like I said, since most of them are under $1, really the only one that makes that jumps out to me is B, right? You're getting roughly $50 a day, 49.88. As opposed to DEC, you're getting $39 a day paid out. Now, again, something to keep in mind is that this $50, right, 50 plus all this like loose change here, is getting divided by a much smaller pot, right? Almost like 1/3 of the pool that is DEC and SPS. And so, that you're probably earning more from the rewards. Now, I could add all of these up on a daily basis and calculate an additional APR. But mostly what I'm trying to say is, regardless of what the actual percentage points end up being, swap.hive and DEC seems to be the much better option in terms of overall rewards that you get from it. Rewards, fees, and then obviously actually it is just rewards and fees because the airdrop is going to be identical to DEC and SPS. Now, there is one thing that I want to say, and this is always a big caveat for liquidity pools, and that is impermanent loss, right? And I'm not even going to focus on impermanent loss. I think you should do your own research on what that is, but that's, if the prices of both assets fluctuate in different directions, then that could be, you could end up with a lot less of one coin than the other. Now, it's called impermanent because it only matters when you sell, but if everything stabilizes out and goes back to normal, you get your money back. But it still is a risk. Now, the reason I bring it up is because at the end of the day, right, you could choose to hold the DEC. You could choose to let's say you have 10,000 DEC, you could choose to hold 10,000 DEC and you would be getting that roughly, 112% APR from it. Or you could put it into these liquidity pools, but then you have to take that 10,000 DEC and pair it with another token. And if you don't have another token, then you take that 10,000 DEC, you divide it by 2, right? So 5,000 DEC and then 5,000 either Hive or SPS, and then you put it in. And you're getting the double points, so therefore your 5,000 DEC counts for 10,000 airdrop points. So it's still identical to just holding the DEC. But now you have an additional risk here because either you're paired with swap.hive or you're paired with SPS. And based on where these tokens go, if you have more confidence in swap.hive, then go for the swap.hive and DEC pool. If you have more confidence in SPS or you want to have exposure to SPS, that's probably the bigger reason why the liquidity is so much higher for DEC and SPS is because people want to continue to maintain that exposure. But that, again, that is a risk that you are taking by having DEC and SPS or DEC and swap.hive. Now, on the whole, DEC and SPS tend to be way more correlated just because of the airdrop right now. I don't know if and when that is going to change. I mean, I believe it is going to change. Sorry, when it's going to change exactly. Obviously, the end of the airdrop is something that I keep calling out as a big moment of shock, right? It's going to shock the entire ecosystem quite heavily, in my opinion. And I don't know if that shock is going to be divided out into, or like metered out, if that makes sense. Or we're just going to have this big, like, all of a sudden there's no more airdrop and everybody's like dumps their DEC on literally the day afterwards. I do believe many people are probably going to be exiting some of those positions at that point. But another thing to keep in mind, right? So you have DEC and SPS, but another thing to keep in mind is that for swap.hive and DEC, swap.hive can be almost uncorrelated as an asset, right? Because Hive is broader, like Splinterlands lives on Hive, but Hive has its own things going. So these are just things to be aware of and to be careful of. Again, all I do is exercise caution because at the end of the day, you need to be responsible for your own money. Don't listen to random people on the internet, including myself. But I'm just trying to give you the information so that hopefully you can make the best, the best and most informed decision when it comes to it. So those are your main options is, obviously just holding the DEC, or I would say from LP rewards, I do believe that it really just is the DEC and SPS and swap.hive and DEC pools. And like I said, from a fee perspective, I think swap.hive is a clear winner. But again, there's a lot of other things that you need to consider. And at the end of the day, you know what? It's completely up to you. Make sure you do your own research. So that is all I have for you in this video. Hopefully it was helpful or entertaining. If I got anything wrong, math-wise or whatever, please let me know in the comments below and I can make a follow-up if it was something that was really, really bad. All right, guys, I will catch you all in the next video and I will see you around the game. Take care.